Cool. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the week 6 meetup for TCL-70. We are getting close to the final stages of building the app. So we'll have one more week of dedicated feature building assignments before we get into all of that design and style, look and feel good stuff that we talked about last week. So before we dive into demos, anybody have any issues? Any thing come up? Anything cool? Anything problematic you want to talk about? Okay, cool. Well then, I will toss it over to DJ. We'll do demos.
All right, so let's just do issue number
I
10.
can't hear you. Can
You can't
everybody
hear
else
me?
hear him?
I can hear him.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can hear.
sounds like a me problem. I'll let him talk and I'll figure that out.
Oh man, okay. Must be daylight savings time or something. I don't know. So yeah, let's do issue number 10, which was Millie and Leon. Go ahead and take it away.
All right. I'll show the UI portion and then Millie can talk about the code. All right. So our thing was to make sure that the user does not put a empty input or duplicate list items. So I'm just gonna create a new list here. All banana. And just gonna add, well, first of all, I'm gonna show what happens if the input value is empty. Nice little message. All right, banana. All right, your item is added. Banana is showing. All right, gonna try with punctuations. Gives a nice little error. About with a space. Also an error. Boom. No duplicates. Banana. I think that's it. I'll pass it off to Millie.
All right. All right. Is everybody seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So for the most part, we worked out of the manage list file. We did have to go into app.jsx to pass through the list that's currently being looked at. So we pass through data, that's the list. When the user submits the form, the handle submit function is triggered, and we worked out the handle submit from most of it. We grabbed the item name and we normalized it. So like the item that was submitted. So we normalized the submitted value and lowercased it. And this regex here basically gets rid of anything that's not a letter from A to Z. So that includes punctuation and spaces. If say the user submits a space, that will be removed. So if there's nothing there, we set a error to empty, and we'll look at that later. And then it's returned, so nothing is actually goes through. And then later on, we also added this part where if the user submits something that's already existing in the list, they also get an error. So we had to go through the actual list, and for each item in the list, we had to also normalize that. So we made it lowercase and we replaced all of the spaces and punctuations. And if it matched, then we returned an error and nothing went through. So for the alerts, just down here, these two were already added before, but they were down here. We decided that would be too clunky to add in our own errors. So we did a switch statement. And as you saw, if somebody submitted something that was empty, you would get this error. And if they submitted something that already exists in the list, they would get this one. And I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else. Right, that's it.
Yeah, really nice work on that.
Awesome, Mark. I appreciate you. You know, the regexy stuff can get tricky, and I usually try to like find where the holes are when I'm working on that one. I found one little one. You guys fixed it. Good job.
We we initially didn't. We neither of us knew regex, so we initially just took. I think Leon did ChatGPT, and then he slapped on something to the end of the regex that was already there, but we didn't think to like normalize the input that the user was putting in because we didn't do that. So, and I was just like, this looks a little messy. Let me just look into it a little bit, and then had to learn some regex.
I have lots of thoughts on regex that I will not get into right now, but yeah, does not surprise me that we ran into these kinds of issues.
Cool. Any questions from anyone else on this issue or the work that was demoed? All right, nice job, nice job. Let's go to Grace and Amanda with issue 11.
Hmm. Grace, do you want to demo first?
Were you gonna do the demo of the actual site or
Yeah, we were doing backend, so it's hard for us to demo the actual site.
well the Firestore database?
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, you can just kind of walk us through what the functionality adds, and then we can see an item updated in Firestore. That's fine.
Okay. I'll explain the code first. Where's my So basically our task was to figure out how many days in the future a purchase should happen, and we used a function from our Collab Lab utils module, and that function was a calculate estimate function, and basically it accepts 3 arguments. All 3 are numbers. So one was the previous estimate, so the last estimated purchase interval, the days since last purchase, which is the number of days that have elapsed between the last purchase date and now, and if that didn't exist, we use the date that the item was created, and then the final one is just the total number of purchases made for the item. And we mostly worked in the Firebase file on the update item function. So the update item function is triggered when the user purchases an item, and so we grab that specific item and a few specific properties from it. So the first argument for the calculate estimate function was the previous estimate, and we used the item's days until next purchase property for that. And then we also grabbed the date that the item was created, so we could kind of figure out the day since last purchase argument. So if the item has been purchased before, then we'll just use the days that had passed between the current time and the date it was last purchased, and we use that for the second argument, the day since last purchase argument. But if the item had just been created within the day that the user is trying to purchase the item, then we'll use the previous estimate, which is basically when the user creates an item, they choose the urgency, and we use that number for the day since last purchase. But if it's been more than a day since the item was created and it doesn't have a date last purchase date, then we'll use the days between now and the date it was created to supplement the days since last purchase argument. And here we're calculating all of that. So we use the previous estimate, the days since last purchase that we figured out, and also we grab the total purchase property of the item and increment it by 1 because we are just purchasing the item again. And then we're updating the date next purchase property, we use the get future date from the dates file, and we input that number that we had just calculated to get that future date, and then we re-update the days until next purchase with that number. Yeah, and then Amanda can explain the second part.
Okay. Yes, I'm gonna explain about the get dates between days. We take in date 1 and date 2. The order doesn't really matter. And change it into a get time into milliseconds since the Unix approach, which is January 1st, 1970. And this is necessary because like in JavaScript, it's easier to handle in numerical form. And in these two conditions, we check whether date 1 in milliseconds is greater, or date 2 if date 1's greater, then the difference is date 1 minus date 2 in milliseconds, and vice versa for the else. With the difference calculated, we round up we divide into 1 day in milliseconds and round up to the lower in as an integer and return the difference in days. Yeah. And we use it in the Firebase as what Grace has just mentioned to calculate our Firebase. Yep. And that's all.
Cool. I know there was a little bit of updating that needed to take place. Can you kind of walk through what that was? I'm just curious, and maybe everyone from the team can get an idea of what was going on with that. This is like some PR review. So what was going on with that?
I think we're like treating when they since last purchase is null, and Grace, I think you make the changes, so might it be better if you you talk about it. Might not be the best.
Oh, so when it was null, we had to use, instead of the date last purchase date, the date that the item was created. But if that date was like you created the item within the date that you're trying to purchase, then there wasn't enough data to calculate the next purchase day. So we had to check that as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
So like this is a good example of sometimes it's not always obvious kind of which values you need to plug in a certain scenario. And we initially saw the error because you need to run it, right? You get that null pointer error that was causing stack traces and stuff in the app. And so we went in and said, oh yeah, well, this can't be null because the thing's expecting it to be a value. So let's go grab a date and put it in there. Now the date for now works, but it wasn't quite the thing that you wanted. And really the best way to tell that was actually the thing was to actually go and read the code, which I'm just pointing out now is sort of like a good example of reading code, trying to look into functions as much as you can. Now, you don't always have access to library source and that kind of thing, especially, in JavaScript land, you might be dealing with minified versions of whatever. But reading the functions and as much as you possibly can, not only just their documentation strings, but actually looking at what they do, is a skill. It takes a little bit of time to like really get good at reading code, but I think it's a valuable skill to acquire. And so I just say, like, if you spend you will probably in your career spend more time reading code than you will be writing it for sure. And so I just say, like, look at reading through when you're importing functions, try and see if you can see what it's actually doing. Just look in and grab the whole big picture. And the more time you spend doing that, I think the easier a lot of that stuff will come as you go down the road. And soapbox.
Thank you for the advice.
Nice. All right. Well, great job with the demos this week. All right, we're gonna jump into a discussion with Lyle about the learning modules.
Yep. Oops, I forgot to change my display setting to something readable by human beings. Give me just one quick second. Keep that. Okay. Cool. No, Firefox went away. Great. And I'm sharing my screen, starting. Sorry, just running into all kinds of issues today. Apologies for the dead air. Let me do that now. Okay, sorry about that. Now, can everybody see my screen?
Yeah, looks good.
Yep. Okay, so we had a couple of different topics that were assigned for the learning modules for the last week, and or we've got one coming up in the next week that I will touch on here. And the reason I'm going to do that is because we don't actually have scheduled learning module discussion time for the next few weeks. So I figured, at least touch on it now before we get too far. So the Zoom window down to out of the way. The first learning module that was from a couple weeks back was what to include in your LinkedIn profile. This goes over, there's a couple of videos in that rubric detailing a lot of things to check if you are aiming to get yourself noticed and aiming to get yourself hired. So I would like to talk about that for a couple minutes here in a minute, but I'll open it up to thoughts. The next one was navigating finances during a career change. This one takes you over to this video. I don't have a lot of thoughts on money stuff. I'm terrible at I do okay managing money. Like it's fine, but I'm not one to give anybody any advice. So I'd say if you have questions, I'll try and answer them. Maybe DJ can try and answer them, but yeah, probably won't get a ton of great advice out of me. Then the next one was what to ask your interviewers. So in this, we've got some stuff on here and then some talking with Andrew in a YouTube video. It's a little light, but I feel like this is also a good place to have some discussion of when you're actually in the interview, doing interviews with people, and the interactions that you can have to sort of make it sound like you're interested and valuable and care. So did anyone look at these or not look at these, but have questions about it or have interests in either of those three topics that you'd like to dive in first, or just want to have me kind of touch on stuff?
I've only seen the LinkedIn stuff.
Okay,
Yeah, I spend more time looking at the LinkedIn ones.
cool. Did you have questions about it? Anything specific you'd like to go over while we're here on the topic?
I don't have any questions. I think it was pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Yeah, I modified my LinkedIn profile to the advice, but I just love to learn more about like tricks using LinkedIn and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there I think is good about crafting it's basically, right, it's your modern resume as well as it is sort of like an advertisement for yourself. And so the advice on there is good, is to spiffing up your profile and making sure you look professional and making sure that you're indicating that you're active and looking. And a lot of that stuff is for the benefit not just of the occasional recruiter who's sort of perusing the list, but the algorithms that kind of feed them. And this is just where we are in 2024. Everything is driven by some artificial intelligence algorithm in the background that is trying to index you and then show people who might be interested in you pieces of you, right? And so some of that stuff is effectively SEO for your LinkedIn profile, search engine optimization, right? You just want to pop up and be interesting when people get there. there's some other algorithmic stuff that it may be worth trying to do as well. These platforms do measure your engagement with them. I don't know if that directly influences whether or not you get put in front of recruiters, but if you go and you interact when you see somebody in your feed posting a post, if you like it, if you add a comment, if you yourself are creating posts or sharing posts and that kind of stuff, the system is going to register you as someone who's engaging with the platform and seeing what you're interested in, and funneling more of that stuff to you so that you can take the time and interact with it. That people do look for people who are reacting to those posts a lot of the time, right? And they say like, oh, I see such and such developer made a really smart comment. Let me go poke at them real quick. Oh, this person's looking for work. Maybe I should, check out their profile and see if I can hire them, right? Like that stuff actually happens a lot more than you might think. So engaging with the platform in addition to just setting yourself, like your profile up to look good, I think is pretty important. That's really true of LinkedIn. It can be, to I think a lesser extent, true of things like Twitter or X, and Facebook and that kind of stuff. Those I would say more of are engagement to get yourself kind of noticed by a community. And as you float around in a community, then you can start to see if anybody's got job advice, or maybe they got job advice for you and that kind of stuff. And that kind of feedback is a little bit more organic. But specifically with LinkedIn, you engaging with stuff can definitely make you more visible, and create opportunities that may or may not have come if you weren't liking things and commenting on stuff and posting things yourself. So TJ, I don't know, do you have any thoughts on the LinkedIn side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great resource. I think it is just a really valuable tool. It can get busy, it can get kind of noisy at times, but like, again, just like I was saying, staying active on it, using it to maybe reach out to folks to try to connect is really, really helpful. And yeah, I don't know. I would also recommend at some point, and I can share some contact info, but like having like recruiters or people who have done hiring in the past take a look at your LinkedIn is kind of, it can be a really helpful thing, because like, yes, the algorithm is super important, but it's also like humans looking at this too, and they can share some insight. So anyways, yeah, I have a friend that has done recruiting for Meta for a few years and is now doing like freelance stuff. So I'll be sure and share her info if anyone wants to connect with her.
Yeah, it's a really good point. It's one thing to have the robots funnel you to human eyes, and it's another thing to just go and get human eyes to look at your stuff directly. Like if you can do that, you probably should. Like that's good advice. So cool. All right. Any other LinkedIn thoughts or questions?
I have a question about personal projects.
Okay.
I've seen like conflicting like answers. Some people say like, oh, put it in the project section of LinkedIn, and some other people say put it in the experience section, because maybe recruiters are, since like the project section on LinkedIn is like on the lower end of the page of the profile, like the recruiters, whoever's looking at the profile might not want to scroll all the way down. I don't know if it actually matters. Just wondering.
So I put my projects that I've done on my own in like a featured section, which is right beneath the about section. And it's kind of like a gallery of like things you can kind of like scroll through and see. So there's like a thumbnail image of it, a brief description, and like a link to it, like right off the bat. So, and then they're also in the projects at the bottom. But yeah, to your point, it's like you don't want to have them just buried there, but like, I mean, yeah, I think having them in that featured section,
It's good visibility.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I like that. The reason why I was pausing was I was trying to decide whether or not I would, as a hiring person, consider your project experience to be experience. And I would say that's probably a judgment call to whether or not, if somebody hired you, would you need to get spun up on the framework or do you just count that as sort of vague familiarity with it? So a lot of times in a job, you show up and it'll take you a few weeks to learn the stack and learn what they're doing and kind of figure out, kind of what that is. And if you feel good enough with the technology that you can gloss over the learning the framework portion of that and move more into the move into just the learning of the company's way of doing things, then that's where I would say, like, yeah, you can put that in the experience. But if it's like, oh, I touched it and I kind of liked it, but I would still take some time when I showed up at the job to learn it, then maybe not. Now that's an opinionated take, and other people may disagree with that. But like the things in your experience are probably going to be more valuable in terms of getting people to look at you in the sense that they might try to hire you based on that stuff, right? And so that's one where if you like the things and you feel pretty good about it, like, and that's the kind of job you're after, then maybe putting it in the experience. If you just kind of wanted it to count towards your overall skills, but you don't really feel great about it, then maybe in the projects. And that's just because you don't ever want to be in an interview where people think you know what you're talking about, and then it turns out you have no idea. Right? Like that
Makes sense.
can happen. And yeah, it's just a fine line. So I don't know. That's my take on it. It's fuzzy answer. So
Yeah, I mean,
otherwise, the project stuff that DJ said was great. Yeah.
I mean, and about experience particularly, it's like I would definitely include the Collab lab for sure. I mean, developer, right? That's all you need to say.
Yeah.
You can talk about the program, but like that is what you're doing here, and I think it's obviously super relevant to the real world. So so yeah, that's something if you're comfortable with, then I would do that
For sure.
Thanks.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, there's some more on there. Endorsements, recommendations, just actually a lot of good stuff. Here's the rubric. If you did not look at this yet, spend some time looking at it, and crafting your LinkedIn is a good thing to do. Okay. This is a decent video. If you haven't watched this, it's an hour long. He talks a lot about managing money as you're going through changing jobs and stuff. And this being kind of a tumultuous industry, can be things you want to think about. What happens when layoffs come from your company, whether or not they're a big one, trimming off capital on human expenses, or whether they're a startup who just didn't get their next round of funding and are over it, right? Like you might find yourself bouncing between things for a little bit. And that's normal. He talks about some of that stuff. So I will defer to that video for financial related questions. Okay, so the next one that you probably haven't looked at yet is what to ask your interviewers. Did I pull this up already? I think I did. Yeah. So again, I'm just touching on this now because we won't have the scheduled time for it. We'll talk about more interviewing stuff a little bit later, but in the context of actually doing some mock interviews and that kind of thing. And this is talking to you about it. I'd say Andrew also has a good video there about when you're in a job interview and how to interact with them such that you show that you're engaged and interested. Yeah, I always like the notion of finding something on the company's webpage, particularly if you can find it about the career itself, but if not, then just about their technology, and ask like a clarifying question, like specifically walk into an interview with something that you would like somebody from the interviewing team to make clear to you that you didn't understand about how either their product works or about what day-to-day life doing this job might be. It forces you to investigate enough into their stuff to find something that you might have a question about. So it gives you incentive to go in and dig. And then it shows the interviewees that you're not just there looking for a gig for somebody to hire you, please. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you actually like this product and this company because you took the time to look into something. And that shows me that you're more interested, and also that you're curious, and also that you're analytical, and that like you might be somebody that I want to, follow up and ask questions on. So that's one thing I like to do kind of in there when you're given that question of you're in an interview and you got the 5 or 10 minutes left and they're like, so do you have any questions for us? You're like, yeah, I was on your website and I saw that you both use Ruby and Python. Like, don't your developers get into ideological wars between Ruby and Python? Right, like that might be the type of thing. To clarify. It says talking about in previous workplaces, the one thing to note there, especially if you're getting into the field, like you might be asked not just about places where you've done code, but prior experience doing anything else, especially if that's the most relevant stuff on your resume. I think that a lot of that stuff teaches you a lot about working and a lot about dealing with people, and like it doesn't really matter where you were in life that that stuff comes up. But as you talk about your previous employer, if you sit there trash talking them, it's going to look bad on you too, right? Nobody wants to hire anybody who's just going to sit around complaining about their current workplace, about how everything sucks, and about how they can't wait to get out of there. And if that's how you talk about the previous place that you worked, what's that going to say about the place that you're trying to work, right? So be careful about saying too many things that are negative. But on the other side of that, talking about challenges that you worked through, things that you found difficult or hard, but that you overcame, things that you learned about yourself or about working environments that you love or that you don't do as well in. Like all of that stuff is excellent to bring into reflecting on prior experience when you're talking to people in an interview. So like this is all to say, it's important to talk about things that were hard or things that were problems that you dealt with in your past life. You just don't want to sit there trash talking your previous employers in the process. You want to talk about your learnings and your growth and the strength and experience that you gained out of those things. And this is just because I've seen a lot of interviews and I've seen people, occasionally just dive into some of these traps, and it can be just something to think about and watch out for. And it always helps. All of these things kind of feed into a level of being positive and being like projecting good energy in an interview too. Like trying to be like, hey, yeah, I really want to be here and I'm really happy to contribute and I'm eager and that like I'm a positive source of good feelings around the office. Like that goes a long way too in an interview. And then they talk a little bit more about like developing your questions around that type of stuff. So one thing I always like to ask when I'm in an interview, now that I've done a few years of this, is like, so tell me about the most recent crisis that's happened at this company and how your team worked through it, and what that involves, right? Your typical fire drill or, your production outage or, that kind of stuff. And I want to hear about the team saying that. And that tells you a few different things. It tells you about the work culture. It tells you about the technology a little bit that they have. It tells you about some of the processes. And it also makes you look like somebody who's ready to tackle the problems when they come up and, get in front of them, as opposed to being reactive and being like, oh no, everything's on fire. What do we do? Right. So, it's I think a valuable type of question to ask, but it comes from, a place to me too, of having been on midnight, calls dealing with production outages and having to think, kind of on the fly and dealing with that stuff. And you learn to think ahead about those things kind of going forward. So, do we have questions about talking to people in interviews now that I've talked on a couple of topics on it? Good. Yep. In week something down the line here. So not next week, because we will be doing the presented with issue 14 and sort of talking a lot about what we want to do with that. On the subsequent week, we'll be saying how to rock a technical interview, and then we're going to do pair interview practice. So we'll actually be talking about interviewing each other. So that's coming up, something to just get your little brains prepped and ready for. Not that you need to immediately worry about it, but just, looking ahead. Okay. With all of that done, and on the spirit of looking ahead, I'm going to now transition it over to DJ again. Hopefully you're ready to look at those since Rachel's not here, but then we can walk through the next issue assignments.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sweet.
All right. Whoops, that is Slack. So let's take a look at issues. So again, as we've been talking about, these are the last two really like assigned, like well-defined issues. So yeah, let's get into it. Issue number 12 is going to be Grace and Leon. And this one is, as a user, I want to be able to delete items from my shopping list so that my list isn't cluttered with items I don't want to buy in the future. So we've been basically building a CRUD app, right? Creating, updating, and now this is our delete functionality. So users might make a mistake when entering an item or may decide they don't want to be buying a certain item again in the future. Allowing them to delete list items will help them keep their list tidy. So the AC on this one, the list item component renders a button that allows the user to delete an item from their list when clicked. Clicking the delete button prompts the user to confirm that they really want to delete the item. And the delete item function in Firebase.js has been filled out and deletes the item from the Firestore database. A couple of notes. Activating the delete button should show a confirmation dialog. We want to give users a chance to confirm destructive actions. It's a really common pattern. And it might be tempting to create your own modal dialog component to handle confirmation, but modals are fraught with accessibility concerns. So considering using a simple JavaScript confirm dialog. I believe we've already implemented this whenever we, is it add an item? No, whenever we check an item. So we already have an example of this kind of flow, right? Whenever you click on something, we see an alert in the app saying, are you sure you want to do this? It's basically the same thing, just to make sure that we're not accidentally deleting things. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Again, working with the Firebase API a little bit more with deleting. But yeah, any questions about this one?
Seems pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Sweet. All right. And let's go to number 13. This is a fun one. So as a user, I want to view a list of my shopping list items in order of how soon I'm likely to need to buy each of them again, so that it's clear what I need to buy soon. So this is high level, just kind of like a sorting functionality for our lists. So the summary, sorting items by how soon the user might need to buy them will make it easier for the user to identify what they need to buy, which will in turn help them better plan their shopping trips. To that end, we will be sorting items into 4 possible groups according to how urgently the user should buy the item. So the first group is going to be needs to buy soon, 7 days or fewer until the next purchase. Need to buy kind of soon, between 7 and 30 days until the next purchase. Need to buy not soon, 30 days or more until the next purchase. And then inactive, which means 60 days have passed since the last purchase. So to implement this feature, your team will need to create some new UI elements so the user knows how their items are sorted, and write some logic behind the scenes to perform the sorting itself. Read the acceptance criteria and our notes carefully to be sure you understand the tasks at hand. And don't be afraid to reach out to the rest of your team and the mentors if you need help. You've got this. So as you can see, there is kind of a lot more involved with this issue. So again, if there are any questions, feel free to stop me and we can talk through it. But let's go through the AC. So items in the list are shown with an indicator that tells the user they should buy the item soon, kind of soon, or not soon, or that the item is inactive. So this urgency indicator does not rely on only color. So you can use a color if you want, but like there needs to be some other way because of course, that's an accessibility concern. If folks can't discern colors, for example, that's going to be an issue. The next one is in the Firestore JS file, you're going to export a new compare purchase urgency function with the following behaviors. It's going to sort inactive items last, then sorts items in ascending order of days until purchase, and sorts items with the same days until purchase alphabetically. Okay, so that one especially, just pay attention again. It's kind of laying out exactly how we want them to be sorted, but it can be a little confusing. So just heads up on that.
When they say exports a new function, that means we're making it, right?
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
going in there. Okay.
So in Firestore, or sorry, Firebase, was it Firebase or what was it?
It's Firebase.
Firebase.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just a
Oh,
typo.
Firestore.
Do we have a Firestore?
We have a Fire-
Oh.
do we? No, that's
No.
that's just that's a typo. We can update that. Yeah, so that's not stubbed out, is it? I don't think it is.
No, it's not.
But yeah, you'll just want to create a new function in here, which is going to do all of that. Correct.
Mhm,
So yeah,
okay.
you just do like export async if it needs to be async, and then name it what you need to, etc. For something like this, especially, I would recommend kind of going through first and like pseudo coding, right? What you want that function to do, just so you're really clear on the structure of that method, and then going in and implementing each piece. But again, really pay attention to these three. So yeah. All right. A stretch goal. If you complete all of the previous AC, consider what happens when an item's date next purchase has passed, but it isn't yet inactive. Let's call that item overdue. So you can extend the functionality of compare purchase urgency to sort overdue items to the top of the list, and also indicate in your UI when an item is overdue. So if we basically look at that, that's basically just introducing another group of sorting, right? So if it falls in between 30 and 60 days, right, that's kind of what we're calling overdue. Is my understanding of that correct? Does that sound right, Lyle? Okay, cool. So again, that's a stretch goal. Don't have to include it in this first go around, but if you feel like you've gotten the previous AC all done, then go for it. All right, so notes. There's a lot to do for this issue. So in this section, there's going to be some tips for what is going to be helpful and useful. So that get days between dates function that was added last week, that's going to be super helpful. And then another reminder that dates in the Firestore database are special timestamp objects, and you need to make sure you're calling the toDate method so that you're getting the right date that you can work with here. A note about indicating the purchase urgency in the UI. It's tempting to use colors or icons to indicate how soon the user should buy an item. Keep in mind, if you use only color, a colorblind user won't be able to tell the difference between urgency indicators. And if you use icons, you have to teach users what those icons mean. So with these constraints, it's probably best to render plain text like soon, kind of soon, etc., in order to show urgency. You can still use color alongside that text, and the design of where that text goes is up to you. So kind of like we've been doing with other parts of our app, I think the recommendation would honestly be to keep this simple. And then, especially once we get into issue 14 and the weeks kind of beyond, like as a team, you all can decide how you want this to look. You can add some like design kinds of things. But yeah, I think the main issue, the main idea here is not to get too, not to get too fancy or reliant on colors and or icons. So just something to keep in mind. All right, and then last, sorting the list. We're sorting by multiple criteria, whether the item is active or inactive, then by the number of days until its date next purchase, and alphabetically by name if they have the same number of days until purchase. So sorting by multiple criteria can be tricky. refer to the MDN docs for array.prototype.sort and refresh yourself on how to write compare functions so you can write the compare purchase urgency function.
Yeah. And also, like, I'd be tempting to try and do some fancy logic in there, but
Mhm.
sometimes it's easier just to bucket things into smaller lists where appropriate. So,
Totally.
like, doing more than one sort here is maybe an answer.
Yeah, for sure. So again, with a lot of steps like this, right, not just sitting down and like immediately writing code is kind of helpful, again, to kind of pseudocode out what the function needs to do, make sure you have a solid understanding there, and then going forward is probably also going to help as well.
Would you say when the user goes to see the list and they want to see what's soon, are they looking at the whole list and that should be ordered?
Correct. Yeah. So basically in our app right now, it's like we just have the items. Basically right now I think they're returned in the order they're created in, probably. So yeah, this is going to basically be the new list view, right? It'll be in sections based on the sorting that you all do in this issue.
Do you think that it might be a little bit more work, but what if we like put soon in like a separate list versus not soon, and I don't know if you can filter it by days,
Mm,
or that'd be just too much. It's doing too much.
You mean having separate lists, you mean?
Yeah, but that like sub list of that list
Oh, no, I think the idea is that this should all still stay
in one thing. Okay. And
as
we're
one
using just
list.
sort.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're just sorting the items based on the criteria in here. Yeah.
Understood. Yes. Okay.
Now, that may work out later in terms of if you want to do some, structure on this page for the look and feel stuff to make it like a little bit easier to tell what's going on. Like, hey, here's the separate bucket for super soon items, and here's later items, right? They're in a separate part of the page. I think that would be something I'd consider, like what DJ was saying. Is that going to go like in the nice to have pretty stuff? So like the first thing I would do is just get the sort and everything working so the list is in the right order, and have the marker on it just in text if you need it to. And then once we have that working, then if we want to organize them fancier later, we can do that. But
Okay. Understood.
okay, thank you.
Cool. Any other questions? Again, feel free to reach out in Slack. This would, probably be something that could be talked about in office hours this week. So yeah, don't hesitate if anything comes up while you're working on these issues.
so close to having a fully armed and operational battle station in terms of app functionality, at least. Then you can start putting the paint on the walls once we're done with that. So you've all done an amazing job so far of building this thing up.
Thank
So
you.
keep at it. You've almost got a fully working thing.
We need so much paint for this app.
Yeah, we have extra weeks now, and we have cohorts passed to help with that too. So
Nice.
last little comments, questions, concerns.
Mm,
I'm good.
Sweet. Then I will close it out and we'll get after it. Everybody have a good rest of your Sunday. Thanks for everybody, except for me, being on time, even though the government snuck in the middle of the night and stole an hour of time from everybody. So appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Enjoy.
Bye. Bye.